Super Heavy Samurai aren't holding back any punches, and is that the Ishizu package merging with Labyrinth? Yes, it is. Blah, blah, blah. 34% of you have not smashed the crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so we can climb up, well, the 110,000 ladder here. So we're going to be looking at the Kodai Championship today. And this is actually kind of interesting because, from my understanding, this was like a 2-deck event. Now, looking at the representation for this is going to be a little bit different because, well, if you're, each playing, 2 decks. Well, it's kind of interesting. So the most represented deck for this top cut was actually Labyrinth, and you're going to see the Ishizu package actually merge with Labyrinth here and actually kind of showcase a little bit different of what I would call a monster for this format, because it really kind of shows some of like the little diversity on options that they can kind of bring to the table here. Now, on the winning team was actually Kashtira. Most interesting thing about like how Kashtira has evolved post ban list in the OCG. You've kind of been forced to see this deck kind of take a step back and, take a different evolution approach to things, which is kind of interesting because, I mean, you basically kind of have to become ogre controls the way that I've really said it. But this deck actually kind of breaks that mold and isn't even playing ogre. So we'll talk about that here in a sec. We also had Tri-Sprite. I'm not surprised to see that. You also had Dark World, which has been very interesting. And then we also have Super Heavy Samurai. I've loved seeing, the inclusion of like these different Super Heavy Samurai packages and how they've really kind of evolved the premise of this deck and kind of have seen it actually kind of keeping up in the metagame, which has been very interesting. We also have Exosister doing its thing, and that is, I kid you not, ladies and gentlemen, we have Tellarknights. And you know what? I think the most interesting thing about Tellarknights as of late is like, you kind of look at this deck and you're like, what's going on here? Like, what is the purpose for this? Like, well, to be perfectly honest with you, it's one of those decks that kind of steps up to the plate here and kind of detours a lot of other people's game plans, and that's actually a very good thing. All right, we're going to pass on over so you can take a look at some of these deck lists. All right, the first deck list we're going to be looking at here is Ogreless Ogre. Just kidding, this is Kashtira. Do keep in mind that with such reduced numbers, that this deck is kind of limping right now, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing per se. It's just that this deck has had to rapidly evolve so quickly that it really it leaves a little bit to be desired. Now, the fact that this deck is now become a friend of Necro Valley here, Necro Valley plus Walking Talking Macro, plus the ability to turn on Tellarknight Diamond down there, that is very, very interesting. You don't really tend to see a lot of these decks really trying to mess around with these different ratios and things, but it is kind of cool to see that this deck, really all things, is kind of stepping into the light here and kind of challenging some of the mentalities that you've been forced to kind of see, the remnants of this deck actually, step through. So for seat A on the first place team, it's not bad. And then we have the Ishizu deck. Now, when I say the Ishizu deck, we're splashing 4 Ishizu cards in here, kind of disrupt the opponent while we're still doing Labyrinth shenanigans. Now, the first real big things you're going to know is we are playing Phoenix Wing Blast. Wing Blast has been actually a massive, huge help to a lot of the decks like this. It gives so much more to the Labyrinth deck that it's actually kind of crazy. And now the fact you have Chaos Angel as a synchro that you can actually access basically by combining your big lovely Labyrinth with your stove, it's actually kind of crazy just to kind of see the results and things that we're getting here. So good stuff. Is there anything else really to mention about this? No, but I think this does open up some interesting little tech options that you can kind of see as we go forward here into possibly some things that you might want to pick up. Really just the possibility of future good stuff. All right, Tri-Sprite. This is this never really changes, I feel like. Based on the limitations that the OCG actually has on Sprite, this deck has kind of been put into an interesting place right now that it's kind of forced to I don't know, it'd be a lot simpler, I feel like. Also, do keep in mind that we still are playing our Bysteel package. I mean, you're just on 1/1/1 of them. And then you just side 2 more Druid Worming in case the situation arises that you need to have access to those additional, pressure cards to make sure that your opponent can't win the game. It's actually kind of what you're looking at here. Outside of that, most of the options feel very good. Before somebody asks me again, why is the Scareclaw Link 1 here? It's a Beast Warrior. You can actually make it off of your Tri-Brigade effects. A lot of people tend to miss that one, and it is very important that you kind of understand why we're playing that. It's an extra free stepping stone if we really need it. All right. Danger Dark World with one of the actual Danger spell cards. So, I mean, they don't have to deal Cached Terror anymore in the OCG. They cleaned that up on the last list. Some interesting things about this. We're side decking the card destruction. That's interesting. I guess card destruction a tier player is now as scary as a full Dark World hand being discarded. But actually, maybe that's a lot scarier. When a tier player can actually just straight look you in the face and go, yeah, you're about to lose if you activate that card destruction. That's very, very interesting. I also see here that we are playing a little bit of an Ishizu package in the side deck, which is fine. I think the most interesting things about this deck are actually the side deck. How we've taken advantage of a lot of the card choice options here and kind of given this deck a chance to kind of evolve with some of the option trees. So, good stuff. I'm happy to see this. Also, a little full armor dragon down there in the extra deck with the Zeus is kind of cute. Alright, next up here we have Super Heavy Samurai. The most interesting things about this. So, we are not playing Electromite, we're not doing any of that stuff. To the few people, they're going to look at this and go, you need pendulum. No, you don't. This build got away with it very clearly. I also like the fact, the Stardust charge dragon actually is able to kind of come up. I'll see that we're siding Rapronicus, Simorgh, and Dagda. So you can actually get access to a Scythe package if you really need to, which is going to just put you in a massive advantage to punish the opponent. Plus, you can bring out the Dark Simorgh off of the regular Simorgh. Oh, that's hilarious. The fact you're going to have so many spell and trap card zones open for this deck is actually going to be kind of insane at the end of the day. So I understand why this deck actually kind of had the chance to do well, and this is actually kind of cool. Next up here was actually another Labyrinth deck. Now, this one's only playing 2 Chaos Angels. I am very, very positive when I say this. Chaos Angel is a busted card. The fact that we're still playing pretty much the same package here. I do like the fact that you only are kind of focusing on only the one-dimensional barrier in this deck. It does open up some interesting little shenanigans and things for you to kind of mess around with if you want to go down different ratios and things like that. But for the most part, a lot of your things are going to feel pretty much the same here. I would argue you probably should try to get the 3rd Chaos Angel in there, because the fact that we are playing triple extra, you don't really want to lose that. I mean, remember, Stovey plus Big Labyrinth Mommy equals Chaos Angel, which basically solidifies some pretty interesting little approaches for how this deck can handle its thing. We're also citing a very small Bysteel package, double dimension shifter. Most of the things that you're going to be able to handle here are all kind of easy for you. Next up is going to be Exo Sister. Now, we followed up with Exo Sister a little bit over the last week or so. We've definitely seen the fact that they've kind of started going towards the Spirit Package as late. The Spirit Package gives this deck some little interesting normal summon extensions that it doesn't really cost you too much to build into this deck. And I think it's actually kind of important to understand, one more level 4 extender that you can drop onto the field and get a free climb up in is really, really powerful. I think a lot of people are going to underestimate that, but those are very, very important things to kind of understand at the end of the day for what they're going for. Still playing Macro Cosmo, which is fine, makes sense. I mean, you kind of need those abilities to punish certain matchups, because you only have 2 dimension shifters at the end of the day to, get the game plan rolling here. So, a pretty straightforward Exorcister list. And then we also have a Tellarknight deck. Now, this was by far one of the most interesting things that I saw out of this event, was the fact that Tellar actually kind of ran it on home. Old rank 4 toolbox, the ability to, access, Ptolemaeus and the Constellar Knight Diamond, all of the free little searching options, and you just kind of hold back on some hand traps to kind of paralyze your opponent. Overall, I mean, it's some pretty straightforward gameplay action here. So that is your breakdown out of the Kodai Championship. I definitely like a lot of the results that we're seeing here. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.